I've been on the run to a city that's called nowhere, far from the comfort of my dreams. This old car ain't showing signs of slowing, and a boy in the rearview ain't what I see. Friends say I should believe in love.
Welcome to the second episode of the ChevyCat Music Podcast. I'm joined today by J.K. Matthews, and we're recording at Freedom House in Brantford. And you could probably hear the traffic on West Street again. It's nice to not feel so lonely. Let's just get right into it and talk about who are you?
I've been asking myself the same question for years. Well, my name's J.K. Matthews, but you can just call me Jake. It really depends on which version of me you know. And honestly, I kind of label myself as just a musician these days who does a lot of different things. So I'll go in between doing a lot of session work for a lot of artists, whether that be in country, folk music, R&B, hip hop. I do a lot of that stuff. I also write a lot for other artists, major label and independent, which is a lot of fun too. And then I'm also my own artist. So I kind of keep everything under the same name, which I don't know if that's a good idea, but I do it anyways because everything's so interconnected for me. So yeah, that's, I guess, who I am. Just a musician who's around.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, yeah, because I met you, I think it was the last fall. Yeah. Maybe around October-ish.
For Oxford,
I got to open for Cody Robinson. You were playing some music for him.
Yeah, Cody hired me out for that gig, and that was actually very early on into my sort of time with Cody, which is still ongoing, and that's why I say it was early on. But no, that was one of our first few gigs together, and I remember meeting you and like sitting in the green room and listening to you go on and go, boy, who is this guy? Whoa, this is incredible. You were killing it that night.
That's an excellent reaction to have when you go on stage. We were watching Only Murders in the Building, and the one intro, I think, to the season 3 premiere, and it's like Meryl Streep's character's talking about, you go on an audition and you're waiting for somebody to be like, where have you been? And it's kind of reminds me, that reflection reminds me of I think it was the first episode of Nashville when Gunnar and Scarlett go on and the legendary radio DJ does the Back to the Future thing. He calls Raina and he's like, well, listen to this. Except he's not as spirited about it.
Oh, that's great.
But no, it's it's so great to so that's probably a topic that we could get into right away is you don't hear about stuff like that. You're just doing your thing. Mm-hmm. You're playing your music. You're making your music. You're playing for other people. You're playing your gigs. You're just going about it. And every once in a while, you'll get a tag on social media, and somebody's like, oh yeah, I'm listening to Jake today. This is amazing. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, you don't really get that peek into what people think when you're not around. Do you I don't think about it as much as I'm about to allude to, but do you think about that? Does that ever cross your mind much? It's like somebody says something like that and it's like, yeah, I don't know how appreciated I am.
You know what? I think appreciation is definitely, you're right in a way, because it's like there are times where I just get tagged and I'll have so much going on just as an artist or as a session writer. It never really slows down. And what's kind of funny is it's like whenever I get one of those sort of posts where maybe I won't be working on my own music for a little while, but people are just like, oh yeah, this is a song that resonated with me today, and they kind of post my song. I go, whoa, my head has been in the clouds of so many other artists' music right now, and this feels really nice. I remember you kind of saying, sharing it to mine. I was just like, oh, dude, that's so sweet. And I was just like head or neck deep, I should say, in working on some music for some other people. So it's really nice to sort of hear that, because it's like, I would say the songwriting side, for my own songwriting, I should say, is my most personal side. That's like the truest form of myself, because I'm not putting on any sort of, mask to fit anybody else's aesthetic or my own thing, or their own thing, I should say. I'm kind of just doing my own thing. So when somebody kind of tags that, I'm always really appreciative of it, because I go like, oh man, like this is so nice to see. It kind of makes my day, It's so sweet.
Yeah, because like, those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's nice to be exalted every once in a while, in that way, where it's like, oh, cool, I matter. Because it's like, it's not something that I think we should really think about all the time. It's like, how much do I matter right now, like in the grand scheme? But it's like those moments. It's like, oh, that's cool. That song that I made matters enough for somebody to share it.
It's kind of funny, because I think about it pretty often. When I was growing up, especially, you heard a lot about the butterfly effect. I don't know about you or what maybe you have heard, but I remember coming up in school and just hearing people say, oh, the smallest actions make the biggest waves. A butterfly flaps its wings in here and there's a tsunami over there, kind of thing like that. And it was so interesting because, as writers and as people who try to be loving and good people in their communities and stuff, you kind of wonder and you go, hey, am I supposed to see this action? Or, I feel like I'm doing a lot of nice things, or have been working around and doing all this stuff, but I'm not really seeing anything from it, at least yet. And it's kind of funny when things start to rear their head a little bit more. I'll put out a song and, it could be out for 6 months. And then someday somebody shares it and they go like, I really needed this tune today. And I go, oh, what? This is the song you needed today. And that's my song. That's so nice to hear. And you go, oh, okay. I've had people like kind of talk to me about my songs and go like, you have no idea what that song has done. Like, I listened to it for like a month straight when I was at my lowest of lows, and it's helped me to get to where I'm at. And I'm like, that is amazing. And I'm glad that song did something for you, because you know how it is. Sometimes as like an independent artist, you put out a song, you go, okay, that was cool. And I'm really stoked on the song. And maybe it doesn't get the full reception that you thought it would have, or maybe it did, or whatever. It did what it did. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of just like, whoa, wait, music actually still does hit people in this way. This is really sweet, Well,
I know your song, It Ain't Easy.
Yeah, easy.
That's one of those songs where I'm like, man, I wish I wrote a song that sounds just like that. It's like, I know. I remember hearing Bon Jovi say, it's like before he played Hallelujah, he was saying it's like a song will come around that is like, oh man, I wish I wrote that song. Yeah. And it's like, well, first of all, I couldn't play guitar like you do in that song, so I couldn't write it anyway. But no, it's like that's one of those songs where I'm like, oh man, like that is a sound that I would love to have in my repertoire. Like to write a song that sounds just that vibe and that that tone, that melody.
That's so sweet.
I've heard so many songs at the Moonshine like that, talking to Chase in the last episode, talking about songwriter rounds and everything. And it's like, it's such a great source of inspiration to listen to your peers and what they're writing. And then also because you can get a hold of them and be like, hey, like, I would love to write a song with you. Yeah. Because it's like I like that song. It's like, we can write a song together. And because your signature is on that, it'll probably have a similar thing.
It could, and that's what's super funny about it is it's like, I like exactly what you said, where it's kind of sometimes you go out and you go, wait a second, that's a sound I haven't heard. It's my favorite part of going to watch people play live or see shows, whether that would be somebody who's in Scotiabank Arena or if it's Massey Hall or even the Moonshine or even smaller venues like coffee shops. And sometimes you get people, you go, wait a second, I've never thought that something can exist the way that you performed it. Why can't I have that? And sometimes, like me, I'm a music nerd, so I'll just sit there and I go, how'd they do that? Like what do I like about it? Why did that hit me in such a way? Is it an effect that they had? Most of the time, it's just because they're flawless performers. And I go, okay, how did you do that thing? Or what was your chords or something? And I'll overanalyze like that. But it's my favorite part of watching people play. is because it's like, as soon as I start to feel a little stale with my stuff, I go, oh, it's because I'm listening to myself too much. I want to go listen to other people. I want to go see what this guitarist does. And, you know, I don't feel this way too often anymore. But I remember when I was younger and I was very naive, thinking like, yeah, I'm a good guitar player. I got this thing down. And then I would get humbled very quickly as soon as I went outside and just saw what everybody else was doing. And I went, oh my gosh, I'm at the foot of this mountain. And, you know, I thought I was at the peak. What's going on?
That's actually, in the past, that's been my vocal warm up for a terrible gig.
Oh yeah?
Is that exact thought. It's like, I got this. I'm going to do awesome. And I did not do awesome. And now I show up at a gig, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm like, oh, what if I can't get it to sound good? Like, what if it's just a nightmare all night? What if everybody hates my song choices? And it's like, it typically goes well, because it's like, you know, you go in, you're just going to do your thing. You're going to honor the music.
Yeah, somebody said to me, like, I can't remember the friend. If I could remember, I would shout them out right now. But I just remember them saying to me, like, we were talking about that, and I almost had a little bit of an issue with it, where I was like, why do I always feel this way? I've been doing this for 15 years or something. Like, why can't I just go to a show and just feel good and confident? And they just said, oh, it's because you care. You know what I mean? If you didn't, like, it wouldn't go so well, and you wouldn't do what you do and all this stuff, but it's because you care. And I just went, oh, maybe I should stop caring. No, I'm joking. But, you know, I think it's because we care. That's why we get nervous, and that's why we have those sort of things. And I think that's when we over-prepare or prepare the right amount, depending on how you look at it, to actually deliver, you know?
Well, I heard Brian Byrne with I, Mother Earth.
Yeah.
I think when they did a reunion tour not too long ago, and before the very first show, he had like so much stage fright that he threw up before the show, and then played a killer show. Yeah. And yeah, it's like the caring is like it's the reasonable worry.
It is the reasonable worry. And I just think that, like, I don't know, if I see somebody, even because I see bands all the time, and I'll see other performers, you know, playing with acts or opening up for acts myself, or just being a part of the community that we're in. Like, I see people play all the time, and I look at somebody and I go, wow, they look so cool and chilled out. And then they go up there and they absolutely destroy it. Like, they sound so good. And I go, oh my gosh, you have it all. But then I start to talk to myself and go, yeah, they put that, maybe the coolness on a little bit, but they care because they sounded that good. And sure enough, if I talk to those people long enough, they end up saying, like, oh my goodness, you won't believe I was hyperventilating in the bathroom before I went on. I went, you? Like, what are you talking about? You look so calm up there. So you never know, right?
We were friends with like a metal band, or at least hard rock. To be honest, like, when I was talking with Chase, we were talking about genres. I'm kind of genre blind, like metal and hard rock. I think there's probably a fine line. Anyway, we were friends with these guys, and like the lead singer, he'd get up and like do his rock thing and everything, and like sing his songs, and then he'd come off and it's like, dude, great job, like that, you guys sounded fantastic. And he's like, oh, thanks, man. And he's like so quiet and reserved and everything. And it's like, you know, it's like when people talk about music being cathartic and like maybe bringing you out of your shell or something, it's like, it's a very real thing. It's like, I think Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie have the same thing. It's like, they're just, you know, they're them, and then they go on stage and it's like Alice Cooper's like, I'm Alice now.
Yeah. I actually have a cousin, and I will say, like, her story's based on a very controversial artist right now, but separating what may or may, like, what's going on in that artist's thing right now, she met Marilyn Manson at a party. And the thing is you look at that and you go, wow, like, with the show that they put on, like, that must be insane. Like, they must be so whacked out. But she said, no, I met Marilyn Manson, and he was incredibly kind, extremely well-spoken, never really increased his volume past like a certain calm threshold, and was always just, hi, it's very nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm Marilyn Manson. Oh, it was so great to be in Toronto, and I'm very grateful to be here. Like, apparently that's the way he spoke the entire time. And she told me, she's like, I had a 45-minute conversation with him. He is incredibly intelligent and just so well-spoken and calm. And I went, whoa. Like, you know, you'd be expecting Marilyn Manson to be like chewing on glass as he's talking to you, you know what I mean?
Well, it's like Alice Cooper in Wayne's World 2.
Yeah.
And he like gives him a history lesson about Milwaukee, and then Wayne's like, does this guy know how to party or what? And everybody just looks at him like he's got 7 heads.
That's what I mean, man. It's kind of funny, man. I really do enjoy, like, even Dallas Green's from City and Color, like, you know, the guy's voice can blow any building apart, but off stage he's this quiet fella, you know what I mean? At least that's what I've heard, and from meeting him a couple times, it's the same thing that I've sort of have seen too. He's just so reserved and, hi, I'm Dallas. You know, you just go, wow, okay. Great.
Well, we're about 15 minutes in with talking, so we should probably feature some music here.
I'll do a song. Sure. I was gonna save this one for later, but that's okay. We started talking about it, so I'll play some easy. Right. And yeah, this song is one of those ones where I was definitely struggling with a couple of things, and I was in the midst of like an existential crisis. I was kind of just like, man, you know, I looked at a lot of my peers around me, and at least what I was seeing on social media at the time, I was like, everybody seems to have it so together, and I feel like I'm falling apart at the seams here. Like, what's going on? And you know, I was playing the comparison game, which I think still sometimes I fall victim to doing. And then this song kind of just came out, and weirdly enough, this song ended up coming out, I wrote it on my birthday, which is March 23rd in 2020. So I had one of the very first COVID birthdays, and this was, I kind of call it my little dark birthday present to myself, was writing this song. Because, you know, you couldn't do anything, so you were just at home, and you're like, oh, well, okay, I'm not doing the dinner, I'm going to stay home, and, you know, yeah, frozen pizza again. So it's called Easy. I've been on the run to a city that's called nowhere, far from the comfort of my dream. And this old car ain't showing signs of slowing, and a boy in the rearview ain't what I see. My friends say I should believe in luck, with every down there comes an up, that I should sit and wait to take my turn. But it ain't easy when nobody knows your name. It ain't easy when you're the only one to blame. It ain't easy when you're losing your own game. It ain't easy, no, it ain't easy, at least not for me. No, not for me. Well, there's my hope strewn across the pavement. I've been through a wreck, still I choose to speed. And even though I pray for my tires to burn out, if I had to bet, first it would be me. My friends say I should believe in luck, with every down there comes an up, but I can't sit and wait to take my turn. 'Cause it ain't easy when nobody knows your name. It ain't easy when you're the only one to blame. It ain't easy when you're losing your own game. It ain't easy, no, it ain't easy, no, not for me. No, not for me. 'Cause it ain't easy when you're 25 and down. It ain't easy running straight into the ground. No, it ain't easy knowing you can't turn around. It ain't easy, no, it ain't easy, at least not for me. No, not for me.
job.
Thanks, man.
I like the, who did the video for that?
That was a great videographer and director named John Butler, and he's currently on tour with Ace and Abby and has done a lot for Dan Mangan and all those guys. Like, he is such a gem, and he's like, creative wise, just that the concept was all him. And because I don't know, for me, I love music, and the music side of things is, you know, I love that. I know what sound I want to hear. I know what I want to hear lyrically. I know melodically where I want to go. But visually, I don't know. I must be like running around with my eyes closed, because it's just I can't think of anything. So I was chatting with him through a couple mutual friends and was saying like, hey man, like I don't know what I want for a video here. Can you listen to the song and tell me what you think? And he came up with it. And yeah, John Butler, man, he is unreal at what he does.
I know what you mean about like I'm able to visualize something for a video.
Yeah.
But if I were to try and do it myself, I would be comparing it to the vision that I have. Mm-hmm. And then I just, everything I did, I'd be like, this is crap. It's all crap. Well, so it's like I only have a snippet of a vision mm-hmm. of it too. So it's like, I know what you mean, where it's like having somebody else work on it for you.
The way I kind of think about it is, it's like my girlfriend says it to me all the time. Like, she'll be asking me about colors for the walls at the house, or hey, what do you think about this shade of the pillow versus this shade? And then she looks at me and laughs and goes, oh, I forgot, you're colorblind and you don't think in this way. And I go, yeah, I can't plan anything. Like, I don't know. And it, you know, I was working with some other artists, and I would hear them talk about their videos, and they would say like, oh yeah, I have a whole shot list composed and I know what I want this to look like. And I go, how? Like, my brain doesn't work that way. And so, you know, having great directors around is honestly the only way I could make any of the videos I work, like, that's the only way I could do them, because they was just like, hey, you take art direction, do the thing. This is the general concept of what I'm thinking. You put it together, you know, mm-hmm. and you go with the shot list, you go with the color scheme, you go with everything, and you'll nail it, you know?
I have to find ambition again mm-hmm. and like also set myself up a space. But I saw a little while ago, Kelsey Main posted how she does all her own videos. Mm-hmm. And like I saw even a clip of one. I'm like, that's impressive and ambitious to do that. And I'm at my house being like, I can't even get a little performance video mm-hmm. of me playing acoustic guitar and recording the sound for it, like properly recording the sound to it, and then like dubbing it onto the video. Mm-hmm. I can't even get like a still shot because I've got all this other stuff to do mm-hmm. where it's like, I might set it up, but I'm not going to edit it.
No, I know. Well, Kelsey's an animal that way. Like, Kelsey's incredibly hardworking, and, you know, what a performer as well. So, like, I don't know, she's got it. But that's what I sort of mean is, like, certain people, they can see it and they can go forward with the vision. I don't know, man. I was starting to like wonder if I spent like too much time with headphones on when I was a kid, and I just forgot to see. You know, I funny enough, I was recently at I was getting glasses, like, because I wore glasses in high school, but never really anywhere else. And I was getting my eyes checked, and like they kind of the ophthalmologist was saying to me, they're like, you kind of need glasses. Like, you're not the worst eyesight, but like you should maybe consider wearing them when you're driving. And I was like, yeah, probably. Like, that's why I want to get them and this whole thing. And they just said, so hang on, let me get this straight. You used to wear glasses, but then like for the last like 6-7 years, you just haven't. You just gave up on them. I was like, yeah. And they just said, why? And I was like, I don't know. I think I like the world a little bit more blurry these days. It's kind of nice, you know? I said, you know, people don't have to try as hard around me. Not that they ever had to, but, you know, I don't see makeup things. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody looks beautiful all the time.
Actually, somehow that reminded me of a reel that my wife showed me where a woman is saying about her husband that it's like, I worry that one day he's going to find someone better than me and leave me for her. And then I remember that he can't find anything.
Do you just hang on? Let me ask you this: Does your partner also like say like, hey, Chris, can you go into the fridge and get the mustard? And like, it's not happening, eh? Because I'm telling you right now, like my girlfriend just says to me all the time, she'll be like, oh yeah, like the scissors are in the drawer. And I'm like, do you understand how many drawers there are in the kitchen? I don't know which one you're talking about. And she's like, she gets mad at me. She's like, oh, like it's been in the same drawer this entire time. Does that happen to you too? Because I'm brutal at it.
It's normally something like, have you seen my wallet? I can't remember where I put my wallet. Do you know where my wallet is? And it's like, I don't know. After the last time I took it out of your pocket. Just because, and it's like just the ignorant shade that I throw. I'm like, as if she put my wallet somewhere. I'm like, do you know where my wallet is? Like, I don't know where it is. And then it turns out it's exactly where I left it.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't happen often anymore. I have about 3 places that I might leave something like that. But, you know, they're way better off in the actual designated home that I have for them. I'll
tell you right now, like, for some reason, the way it happens with me is it's like, we'll be cooking dinner or something. She'll be like, oh, can you go get the strainer? And I start to panic. And if I think about it for a second, I'm like, oh, the strainer would most likely be in this thing. But I panic too much and I go, where's the strainer? And then she's got to tell me. And then it's, you know, she makes fun of me a little bit and it's all good, you know?
I'm pretty good at knowing where things are. It's having my hand held through a lot of things because I'm like, I know how to do this, but I don't know how to even start to stuff this pig.
Yeah, that's what I mean. How much salt is too much salt? You know what I mean? I don't want to taste the too much salt. Can you just tell me how much?
Yeah. But then also she'll be making something and I'll be like, that's not what the instructions say. And she's like, screw the instructions. And I'm like, you are a maniac. You're going rogue like that with our food? We have to eat this.
Exactly. It gets me too. The people who kind of mix to taste, they're like, well, I think this flavor would work well with this. And I'm like, you're probably right, but I can't think that far ahead. What are you talking about right now?
and that's why I gave up on trying to produce music for myself. Because there are people out there where they're like, I'm going to add a 40% wet mix of reverb with this many seconds of like decay or something. Like I can't even think of the parameters right now because I haven't done it in so long.
Yeah.
But and I'm over here being like, yeah,
that sounds
I think
great.
that's going to turn out amazing because you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not.
When somebody says to me, oh, like, yeah, hey man, just, you know, before we put these tracks in Ableton to send out to the audience, we should just EQ them real quick. Can you, like, you know, take off this filter? I start to panic a little bit too. I go, huh? Yeah, I could do that. Sure. And I just start deleting things.
Actually, my biggest thing is even opening my recording program most of the time just feels like it's just so much.
Yeah.
Where it's not. I open it, I press new, create new empty session or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it says. And then I start setting up. It's kind of the same thing about like getting to my gigs. Mm-hmm. It's like thinking about the entire setup, and it's like I'm thinking of doing it all at once.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, it's like when I actually get there, I'm going to calm down because I'm going to load in this first and then these few things. And it's just, I need to load in and then I need to start setting things up. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's just, you end up, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's what it turns into, because it's like, I might be a block away from my gig and I'm like thinking about everything that has to go on. So actually that would probably be a good segue into, let's do another song.
Sure.
And then we'll segue into, I realize it's one of my favorite segments from the episode with Chase is challenges and hurdles, and embracing them, or like, you know, getting back up after they knock you down, and you know, being constructive with them. So let's do a song first.
We'll do a song. That sounds great. So, I mean, before we get into, you should call it like, I don't know, the heavy segment or something. I'll play a lighthearted thing. We'll start lighthearted.
The loaded segment.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so this song is, I think, the one that my girlfriend probably likes the most, and it's because it's not about cheating and infidelity and sad things and all that kind of stuff. She always goes, you know, you preach about writing from experience and all this other stuff, but you sure do write a lot about like a relationship ending because of cheating. And I go, well, yeah. She says, oh, I don't think I've cheated on you. And I was like, no, we're great. She's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I don't know. Do I have to murder somebody to write a country, like sort of jail song or something? She goes, oh, I get it. So this song is actually about loving her and all that stuff. And so it's called Bad Habits, and it's about doing all the silly little things when you first start to really like somebody and you start to like neglect all of your other basic things that you should be doing. So
been late for work the last few days, and up all night couldn't seem to shake the sleeplessness that follows me around. See, it's been years since you came, and every time I hear your name, I need a smoke to stay tethered to the ground. Like leaving the bullets in your gun, I know bad habit and you sure ain't one. It ain't my fault, can't help but speed and check my phone while I'm driving. When it lights up, I'm praying that you called. And I bite my lip, wish it was yours, and leave the keys in the car door. I didn't even park, oh, I just stalled. Caught daydreaming in the sun, I know a bad habit and you sure ain't one. Oh no, something that I never do, only in the presence of you. I've been running my mind, kinda finding an excuse. The habits that I can't explain, behavior that'll never change. I'm slipping into bad habits with you. It's live, ladies and gentlemen. Mistakes are gonna happen. Bad habits with you. Now that I'm yours, I kiss and tell, stay up late and curse like hell, failing to find the words to describe you. We're spending big money when we got none, and drinking too much when the day is done. Some say I face demons I can't outrun. I know bad habits and you sure ain't one.
I like that.
Good old 4-chord. It'll get you sometimes.
I realized during that song, your style is similar to Butch Walker's style on his Afraid of Ghosts album, which is probably one of my favorite albums of all time.
Oh, that's such a compliment.
It's such a sad album, but like musically, it's spectacular.
Oh,
and
that's
awesome. These two songs that you've played so far remind me of a couple of the songs that are on there, like with the finger picking style, and specifically, I think his song "I Love You."
Okay.
It's probably the one happier song on the album.
Yeah.
That one kind of reminds me.
A little happier.
Yeah.
I haven't checked out that record, but I'm gonna have to, because like that's a tremendous compliment. What a musician.
Oh, it's such a great album, and he's such an amazing songwriter.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you to say.
Yeah, I was thinking that day. I was like, I have to remember to say that.
Oh, I'm gonna have to remember to write that down.
It's not often that I'm able to recall or compare music like that. But
I've been getting a lot recently, and I don't really know where to kind of go. So somebody says I sound a little bit like Jacob Dylan, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I think it's just because my name's Jake, but all right, Somebody told me, there's another one, something about like one of those. I can't remember if it was the Black Crowes or who it was, but they're like, oh yeah, you kind of sound like that. And I was like, really? And I was like, oh, interesting. So I'm curious. I like it though, because it's like, who do I sound like? I have a hard time saying, oh, I sound like this or I sound like that.
Well, and that's one thing. Like I I've always loved and hated how music is subjective, because you can be in the same room and be awful and amazing at the same time because of subjectiveness.
Yeah.
Where it's like, but then also it's like you find out, it's like you heard that artist in the song that I just played, and then another person hears the same song, and it's like they heard a different artist.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really interesting to find that, kind of like with the whole like appreciation posts and stuff that you don't really know about. And it's like, I had no idea I sounded like that person.
Yeah.
Or, I never would have guessed that. I never would have thought that. But like, you have 5 different people, you might have 5 different artists that you apparently sound like. And it's perception's so intriguing.
It is. It's kind of like the perception of anything. Like, you ever like listen to a great record and you're just like, this is the best record I've ever heard ever. And then you talk to your buddy and they go, oh man, so derivative of this and that. And you just go, do I have no taste? What did I do wrong?
I'm like that with movies. I apparently like terrible movies.
Oh yeah, but terrible movies are the best movies.
Oh, they are. I mean, movies didn't start off being MCU cinematic adventures. Like, they started off with a man in a giant nuclear reptile suit terrorizing Tokyo.
Yeah, legit. I love it.
But I did say, before we get too sidetracked, I did say that after that song, I would love to delve into challenges and hurdles that you've been able to. I like to take an embracing perspective towards challenges and hurdles, because one of my favorite philosophies is that you grow from failures. Like, successes are fantastic to celebrate, and they're kind of like a promotion in their own ways. And like, I like how Bon Jovi said, like, they sold out Madison Square Garden. Okay, we made it. Okay, well, what next? It's like, you never really make it. There's always a next step, right? But like with failure, it kind of knocks you on your butt, and you have to kind of take a moment to learn and reflect, and it gives you a chance to grow. It makes you think and be constructive with yourself. I wanted to explore hurdles and challenges that you've faced as a songwriter and musician, and that it either helps motivate you or even redirect you.
Well, I'll tell you this right off the top. Like, I find that, challenges, at least in my case, change week to week. Like, there are some weeks where I think I talk to a close friend about it pretty often, where I go, isn't it crazy how much things sway back and forth? I think about my life consistently as just like this big pendulum that just moves and rocks. And I go, there's some times where I feel I'm doing exactly the right thing. I'm right where I should be. I'm embracing the successes that I think I deserve, and they're happening, and things are working towards me and helping me out. And then there are weeks where I go and I just wake up and I go, wow, I can't believe that I'm this far behind, and there's so much I should be doing, and I'm not doing this right, I think for me, it's getting into my head a little bit. I'm so far in my head most days, and overthinking things, and trying to overanalyze everything that somebody says to me or that I say to myself, and it can be absolutely brutal sometimes, because you just go, oh my goodness, like if I could think about my self-criticism and embody that into a different person, that person would be somebody who would they're like a school bully who you just want to just fight on the playground, you know what I mean? And just absolutely take out and tear apart. And it's just because I've never had anybody talk to me nearly as brutal as I talk to myself in those times. And for me, at least, I have to actually mindfully pull myself out of that and say, hey, you're going way too far. You're overanalyzing this. And unfortunately, you're being oversensitive with this. You have to really just sort of allow yourself to, you're not what you think you are. Just calm down a little bit. And it's just like embracing that and knowing that, like you said even a moment ago, you will always be working towards a goal, and you'll hit that goal, and you'll sort of realize that, oh no, there's a bigger mountain to climb. There's more of this. There's more of that. That even happened to me recently. My girlfriend and I were talking, and she said, like, hey, could you imagine if you right now sat down with yourself from not even like high school? She goes, if you sat down with yourself from like 3 years ago, and you said, okay, in the next 3 years, here's what's going to happen in terms of your career. She says, you don't think that you would go, oh my goodness, like really? I did all of that? Yeah, I did this many writing trips. I did this, and oh, this song came out, and I actually got this cut, and that actually worked out, and I played on stage with who? Oh my goodness, that's incredible, right? And she says, if you told yourself that, you would blow your own mind. But she says, but because you're in it, you're looking at the next thing and saying like, you know, oh yeah, I can't wait to hit that thing. She says, when is it good enough? She says, when are you going to start to say to yourself like, oh, I'm a little bit proud of myself? And I just kind of realized that it was like, it is good to sort of take a moment and like tip your cap to the successes that you are experiencing. But it's also, I think, the good part of music. And it's something that I'm trying to embrace now, where it's like, no, there's always the next thing, and there's always the next challenge, and you can always just get better. Like, I just want to keep getting better and make this whole thing work. You know, like I don't want to just ever reach a level and say, oh, that's it. Could you imagine if there's like a final level to music? Like it's like the final level to Super Mario. You beat Bowser and you just like look around and you're just like, that's it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like what do you do after you catch Mewtwo?
That's what I mean, right? Like it's just like if you catch the best Pokemon, what are you going to do, right? It's like, you know, there's an end to the thing, you know, and you start to go, oh, well, I guess I have to find a new thing now. This thing that I've identified as a musician for, oh my goodness, probably since I was like 10 years old. And so what am I supposed to do now? Yeah. You know, like what? You know, like I'm ready to dedicate my life to this. So if it was this easy to reach that point and just be happy with it, like, I don't know, that would just feel weird.
Yeah.
You know?
And I know what you mean with, I'm probably going to mention this in many future episodes because it's probably the thing that I think all of us as musicians struggle with on a regular basis is the comparing. Is because like I've found the key for my piece is just thankfulness. Yeah. Like we were talking about before we started recording about how like, you know, I lived the washed up musician has been life for a while in my 20s without ever having been. And you know, I giving audiences drunken performances, great performances, awful performances because I took it for granted, where it's like, you know, walking and being like, I got this is going to be great, and everybody's going to be I'm going to give everybody what they deserve. They came to see me and stuff. And now it's like I'm a mix of thankfulness and then a little bit worried that maybe I'm taking it for granted, right? And it's like in some of what you were saying there, it's like thinking about, like, for me, it was thinking about last year going into 2024. I'm like, last year feels amazing to look back on. Like, it was the busiest summer I've ever had. Like, my music as a career and as a business is growing. People want to book me and stuff. What if 2024 goes down the drain for some reason because, you know, I need to learn a lesson or whatever. And then, like, you know, the beginning of the year is when communications are slow with people, is normally when I look around on social media and these people are doing that and those people are doing that. And, you know, why didn't I was talking to a friend once and, you know, both of us were saying, it's like, why didn't I get asked to play that gig with everybody? And it's like, I can't play it anyway.
I know.
You know, I'm booked. And, but it's like, I was also talking to Jessie T once, which we've had lots of great conversations, and I'm super excited to hopefully get her on the podcast one day, because that would be another incredible
Jessie T's
conversation.
unreal.
Yeah. She was saying, like, she's got a wall of accomplishments, and like when she feels that way, she's able to look at things that she's done, and you know, just get this nice thankful reminder, because it's so easy to forget with social media. Because I'm not gonna post my crappiest performance unless there's a reason that I'm posting it to, you know, encourage others. But I'm not gonna. Every once in a while, I'll post about a hard time. I'll reflect about it, and somebody makes me feel like an idiot for having posted that, and that I should just be thankful that, you know, the music gods are letting me play their art form and stuff like that. And you know, so it's like, I don't post that stuff. I save that. I grieve to my friends and my wife and stuff. Because, you know, it feels like, as much as we advocate for mental health, nobody wants to read about it.
Nobody does. Yeah, exactly.
And when they do, they're gonna tell you how to go about it.
Yeah, of course. You know, it's really, really tough, and I think that the comparison game is the hardest one to play, because it's just, you'll always find, especially on socials, like everybody, like you said, they're always posting their best work. You know, nobody's putting up like even just take music out of it. You look at it like a painter. They're not posting the one where they, oh man, I accidentally used the wrong shade of blue in the sky for this one. You know, they're not posting that one. They're posting the one that they did, and it looks beautiful. It's a Bob Ross masterpiece. Like, that's what they're going for. But I really liked something you said, and it's something that I find myself, well, let me say it like this. Do you ever find yourself that you've learned a lesson, and you have to remind yourself, I've learned this lesson before, and I have to keep applying it in my life, because sometimes I forget to apply it. And the beautiful thing that you said is actually something that I try to apply to myself. And it's the idea of, listen, you are just a vessel. And you are lucky enough that what's being spoken through you is music. That you're not music. I'm not music. Nobody's music. The music's being spoken through us, and sure, we have our own individual voices, but it's all coming out. And the thing that I try to do as often as I can remember is just be thankful and thank whatever musical spirit is speaking through me, and just saying, hey, you know what? If this is spoken through today and this sounds great, I'm so happy, and thank you very much for using me to do that, right? And if it doesn't happen during that day, it's just probably because it's like, oh, you know what? I have to spend a bit more time making sure that my muse is happy, right? And that this is actually, like, you know, I'm putting the time in, and, like, you know, I'm showing respect to the craft and doing the thing. Like, this is being spoken through me. It's not me anymore. It's not me who's up there botching a note, you know what I mean? Or it's not me up there who's ripping an excellent, well thought out solo. Like, no, that is the muse. And I can only get in the way of that by having an ego about it. That's where I try to remind myself to be all the time. If something great happens, it wasn't me. That great song or that cool lyric idea, don't pat yourself on the back about it there, fella. That's being spoken through you, you know? I don't know how you write your songs, but do you ever feel like you're just pulling something from, like, the ether, and you just go, where did that even come from?
So I feel compelled that, because anybody that's going to listen to this and if they know me already, they already know that I'm going to be compelled at least once every episode to bring up how faithful I am to God.
Yeah.
Like Jesus is my main man, you know, like, so, like, with the comparison thing, Romans 12 is the best chapter that I've found so far, where it's just like, it's talking about basically remember the path that God has put you on. And, you know, just because the ear can't taste, it doesn't make it any less part of the body. And I mean, there's lots of great things. I'm summarizing and probably, like, not even scratching the surface of what it actually says that helps me. But I just remember, it's like, when I look at people and they have more views than me or more acclaim than me, I just think of Romans 12, and I'm like, I'm where God wants me. And like what you're saying about, like, the, you know, playing and everything. And I fall off the habit more than I'd like to admit. But I like to, like, when I'm setting up or when I'm heading into a gig, I like to do a quick thankful prayer, just be like, you know, thank you, God, for the opportunity to play music for a living, and the people that I get to play music, and the amount of people that I get to play music to. and that when I'm having conversations with people, I've been given a certain way to evangelize, where I'm able to deliver the message in a way that's not unappealing.
Yeah.
And so that, I get to go and I play these gigs, and I gracefully and genuinely bring up Freedom House, because it's been such a huge transformation for my life to be part of Freedom House. And then, when I'm playing, it's like, thank you for the skill, but also the ability to learn the skill.
Yeah.
It's like, I wouldn't be able to even record this podcast without the ability to learn to do it, or
exactly.
play guitar. Like, there was a time, like, I don't know how I learned rhythm. I think that somewhat came naturally to me, so that helped a lot too. But like, also, I have to credit God with that, because I didn't have to learn it.
Yeah.
So I skipped a step with learning my instrument. So
it's kind of interesting. It's really nice to be grateful, because it's like, I think that's something that I think anybody can forget after a while, is just to be grateful to do what you do. Maybe you have a really good gig and you get caught up in the euphoria of it, is of the compliments and the people saying, oh my gosh, you're amazing, and or even you play a bad gig and you're just not grateful because you're mad and you're like, I screwed that up. I can't believe it, right? But it's like, it's so grateful. So have I. But it is a gratefulness test. But it's kind of interesting. I say this not all the time, but it's something that sometimes I am beneath subtext saying. And I had a writing session last night. I say it in almost every writing session. It's not always spoken in the way I'm going to say it here, as plain as possible, but it's some form of this. If a writer or somebody, I'm working with an artist and we're writing a song, and they I can tell that they want to try to twist the arm of the song into somewhere where it doesn't really want to go, or they're trying to force something, or they're trying to, their label has said, hey, you know what, like, this is where your music has to go now. It has to be this specific genre because that's what's going to sell, or, emulate this artist or something. An artist shows up. We're going to write about what we're going to write about today, because I want to write about what you're feeling. I don't want to come in with any preconceived notions. And sometimes I have to say, don't piss off your muse. You're pissing off your muse. And what I mean by that is the same thing about whatever spirit or whatever thing is speaking through you as the vessel you are for music. It's trying to tell the truth, and you filter it. And that's the thing, is it's like, don't filter it. When you're trying to like interrupt what naturally is coming in the room right now, and what you're trying to interrupt lyrical ideas, because you know what the great lyrical idea is, but it's not quite what your label wants, or you want this sound that you're so in love with. They're like, this is beautiful. But like, don't get me wrong, there are taste things. Like writing, as you know, it's like, does this line work? No, that line doesn't work. Was this line? No. But when you're forcing it, I always say, don't piss off your muse.
Yeah, it's the difference between the technical aspects of if it works and preference of what you want.
Exactly.
And it's like, what you want rarely matters.
It comes out, man. Like the songs that I write, honestly, I've gotten to the point where it's like, I try not to ever interrupt what comes out naturally, right? But sometimes it's like, I'll sit down and I won't be in a feeling, right? As a songwriter, and you'll sit down and you'll go, I got to write a sad song, but you had an all right day that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't get in a fight with your spouse, or, somebody didn't cut you off in traffic, but you're trying to write an angry song and you're like, well, maybe that song's not coming out. Or you're feeling down in the dumps and you're just like, man, I just need to write something that's so like just sad. Let me sit in this for a second. But you're trying to force yourself to write Party in the USA Part 2. You're like, what is going on? Just stop betraying yourself.
Well, that's what I love about Afraid of Ghosts by Butch Walker. It's so raw. Yeah. And same with Subtract by Ed Sheeran.
Oh, yeah.
Which at shows I've been jokingly saying Ed Sheeran. But I just wanted that recorded on the internet.
Yeah, that's great. It's excellent.
But like Subtract by Ed Sheeran, I love that album because it's like it's an album for people who've lost somebody, from how I interpret it.
Yeah.
And I actually took it a little more personally than I should have. I read one review for some reason. I looked up reviews about it, and she was like kind of ripping it apart. And I mean, in her bio as a writer, it's very clear she wouldn't be an Ed Sheeran fan anyway. So it's like, I don't know why you guys got her to write the review, but she's like, it sounds like a typical Ed Sheeran album. It's like, yeah, because it's an Ed Sheeran album.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't get it. Like it's a sad album because that's what came out, and it's like, I don't know how you would take that lyrical content that a lot of people could probably relate to in some way, deeply. It's like how you can make it very like too happy, aside from like sweet and romantic, which like the song Life Goes On is on that album that he did with Luke Combs. Yeah. And like it's a nice song. And actually Hills of Aberfeldy is a nice, like, it sounds like a Celtic folk song. Yeah. I fell in love with that song.
That's gorgeous.
And actually what you're talking about with like your muse and just like writing songs that just like you're just pulling it out. My latest song, Sing You Praise, is, I'm so excited to record that one.
I'm excited to hear it.
That was, I wanted to write a song inspired by Hills of Aberfeldy, the similar style. And that's my biggest worry is I'm like, am I ripping this song? Like, does this cross the line from inspiration to plagiarism? And I don't think it does, because I tried to sing the song over top of Ed Sheeran's song, and it's totally fine, or it should be. But yeah, it's like, it was, to get religious again, it was like God wrote it through me, because I wrote it so fast, and it was just a matter of learning it. Yeah. And then navigating through it. And then a couple nights later, I was like, I think it needs, and it was in the middle of the night. Like I was going to sleep, and then I got up and wrote it, kind of thing. And then I was like, I think it needs a final verse to finish the song. And then a final verse came. And it's like, and then the song before that took me weeks to write it, because I just couldn't get it. Now, with these songs, because like I mentioned to Chase in the last episode, I feel like I'm becoming a new writer again. Because, I can't write being happy, because I don't have any problems to reflect on, but I do have worship to reflect on. So I've been getting into that more, and man, making sure that I'm not saying something stupid in my lyrics is such a big, it's a tall glass of water, Oh, of course, or a tall order, I mean. So it's like, just,
It's really funny that you mentioned that. It's like, coming back to like the music review thing, it's the thing I laugh about that is, Anthony Fantano, the Needle Drop on YouTube, he reviews all those records. And it's the thing that makes me laugh about it is he'll review a bunch of albums, and some of the ones that he calls absolute masterpieces, I go, what is this? Like, I don't dig this. But he reviewed Noah Kahan's Stick Season, and I don't know about yourself, but I love that record. It sounds beautiful. It's really cool. Like, it's folky, it's stomp and clappy. What's not to like, right? But it's funny because I was scrolling through the socials, and he did a thing where he was like bringing a guest on, and he was like, what's my worst take? And they said, Noah Kahan's Stick Season. And they bring it up, and they're debating back and forth on why or why not. It's a great album. And then I just thought, I'm curious. I'm going to go to the comments, and that's always a mistake, just so you know. But I went to the comment section, and I just popped it open, and I go, wow, like, this is crazy. And you see a bunch of people saying, oh, Noah Kahan's music for people who don't know anything about music, and blah, 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 blah. And I go, okay, like, that doesn't feel nice. Like, I kind of have my degree in the thing. I think I might know a thing or two, but all right, I like this. And what's hilarious is there's one comment that just absolutely it beautifully put it to me. Like, I loved it. It basically said, man, I hear you, but I just can't listen to Radiohead every single day. And I went, that's the perfect thing. And I totally agree with them, because I love that higher art music. It's great. You know, you love the experimental stuff. You love the thing that has so much meaning behind it. But man, like if you, like I can't like there. Whenever I listen to Radiohead, man, I get emotional because I go like, this is so beautiful and this is so well written and it makes me feel so many emotions. Mm-hmm. But I can't listen to this every day because if I do, I'm gonna be a shell of a human being. You know, I need just Noah Kahn stomp and clap, which hits me honestly, probably in a very emotional way as well too, right?
Well, and like I have like I guess they're called guilty pleasures, but it's like there are songs where I like just because it's like this is neat.
Yeah, this is
like,
great.
This is not. I'm surprised this ever won a Grammy. Mm-hmm. It's not like a musical masterpiece.
Yeah.
But man, this is a good 3.5 minutes of my life, and I'm gonna do it again in 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, man. Sometimes you got to repeat, but no, it's good to hear though that you're finding yourself like that new writing thing. You know what I mean? Of just like sometimes like you'll be in the middle of the night and a song comes to you, or sometimes you're working on weeks. Isn't it funny how like just songs change, dude? Not to get too like vivid here, but I can't tell you how many times I'll just be getting ready in the morning. I'll be taking a shower and then I just go, oh, that's a song. I got to cancel my plans. You know what I mean? I got to make this work because this is, I love this meaning of this song and I got to write this now because, and that's what I sort of mean about the muse thing because it's scary how it just comes out of nowhere. You know what I mean? You'll just be sitting there and you'll just start writing. Like, I'm pretty sure Easy came that way to me where I was just hanging out at home, nothing better to do. And luckily I could write the song. I think I was like eating dinner or something. And I was just like, it ain't easy. 25 and down, straight into the oh, what's that? You know what I mean? And I just sat down and went for it. And that was a song that came together in like all of 35 minutes. Oh, you know what I mean?
It feels so, it's like when you write those songs, it's like, I don't know if this is good or not. And then, because you wrote it so fast.
Yeah.
But then I guess it's the same as if you're taking too long as a song. It's like, oh, well, maybe I'm forcing it. Maybe it's crap, It's like, who knows until it's done. And then you listen to the voice note back and you're like, I'm feeling something with this. I'm like, I feel really excited about this.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was an amazing 30 minutes. I wrote this in 30 minutes. Like, it's like you blow your own mind.
Yeah.
Well, like what you said is like.
But that's what I mean. You're like, wow, where did this even come from? I also love the songs that too, because I struggle with songs all the time. I'll have. I think the last time I checked my voice memos, I'm at like 1,213 voice memos on my phone. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of them are just the same idea, but in a different way. But what I'll do late night is I'll be driving home from a gig or something. You start popping them on. You start listening. What do my demos sound like? What is my work tapes? What are these? What is this? My favorite thing, man, is like sometimes I scroll all the way down and I'm like, all right, 2014, what was Jake saying? And I'll start going through and there's songs, man, that I go, oh my gosh, I've been fighting with this song for years and trying to make it work. And all I have to do is instead of saying I at the end, just replace it to we. And then nails rhymes with fail. Okay, the song's done. You know what I mean? Yeah. I love just doing that and going, I've been arguing with this the entire time, and this is all perspective. Yeah. Bad Habits, I did that. Like, that's a song that's not released or recorded or anything like that, but I was literally just sitting there one day, and I was always toying with that last verse, and I was going like, oh no, if I just say, we got together, that's adorable. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to write that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's... I often mention to people about like outsider perspective, because and it's great how like time with creating something, it's like you hit a block and then it's like however long later you go back to it, and now you're an outsider from it because you're not so close to it, and it's like, oh, all I have to do is this and that, and it's like I talk at home every once in a while to Natalie because she's my wife and I should talk to her every once in a while.
Yeah, hopefully, if you want a successful marriage. Right?
Yeah, but every once in a while I become like, I guess, kind of nitpicky because it's like and I don't mean to be, but I guess that's like the creative person in me where I'm just like, hey, it'd be easier if you do that way. Yeah. And then like after a while she's like, could you just let me do stuff instead of constantly trying to tell me how to do stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, well, I have an outsider perspective. So like, if it looks like you're like fumbling with something, it's like, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, just
It's
do
like,
this. Yeah.
Stop fumbling so often.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That is how we talk to each other at home, though. So it's not. I'm not saying
It
anything
sounds
on.
healthy.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything on the internet that I don't say to her face.
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting that you say that, because it's like you become that outsider sometimes in your own songwriting, and I love that. You know what? This is what I mean about the muse thing. Is sometimes it doesn't want to all come out in that moment, right? You'll be sitting there going like, oh, I felt this inspiration, and I'm stuck on verse 2, or I'm stuck with the bridge. Where am I going to go, right? Sometimes it's like 6 years. But then I was driving home from a writing session recently that I had, and I was sitting here, and it was a high-pressure writing situation where I was just like, we got to deliver, we got to get something. And we wrote this beautiful song. And at the end, the singer starts like singing this thing, and we go, oh, that's such a cute little like callback line. We'll do that as like your outro, like you're playing this in a large audience, and everybody's singing along at the end and waving their arms. And then I'm driving home, and the song felt good when we left, but you're like, I feel like we could have done better. I'm driving home, listened to it as soon as the producer sent it to me, which was me 5 minutes driving home from the session. I listened to it, and I go, I cannot believe I've missed it this entire time. But what the singer was singing as the little outro hand wave thing, that's the chorus. The entire thing, that is the chorus. We wrote this beautiful chorus, and I went, no, that's the pre-chorus, because that is so gorgeous and that sets this up perfectly. The chorus was like this complicated thing about all these emotions, and I was like, but the bridge thing that she wrote was so simple, and I was like, no, complicated pre-chorus. Let the chorus be that simple thing, so it's memorable. And I called the producer right away. I said, hey, our bridge is our chorus. I'm so sorry I'm freaking you out, but the bridge is the chorus, the bridge is the chorus, the bridge is the chorus. And he went, okay, let me listen, because we were just in a room for 12 hours together. He hangs up. He calls me back. He goes, oh, you're right. We got to get her back in. We got to recut this.
Oh man. But sometimes, like I've found that a few times where I'm like, I write what I think is the verse, and then I don't know where to go from there. Turns out I need to go to the verse because I just wrote the chorus.
Yeah, exactly. You just go, wow, that's a pretty good verse. It's a very memorable verse.
Speaking of songs, we should probably play another one.
It's a good idea.
And man, this has just been I don't want to say diarrhea because that's gross, but it's just the verbal diarrhea here.
It has been verbal diarrhea. We can both go, well, here, I'll tell you what. Let me play one. Okay, this is a sad one, and I'm sorry. I'm going to censor myself because we are in a very beautiful church, and this does use a swear word, and I'm not going to say the swear word. So if I say mess up, I think you know what I mean. But this is one of those songs, actually. And what was really funny about it is I wrote this on December 24th. And I was home, and I was, just a little, you get kind of Christmassy blues sometimes. Everybody's in bed, and you're like, oh, I'm just up now. And so I was at my parents' place, and I was just sitting there and just started to toy around with this. And I was like, I've never written a Christmas song. Maybe I'll try. I tried every which way to write this song. Didn't happen. And I went, whatever. At least I got a nice little pretty riff out of it. And then this past November, I was flying back from LA from a writing session or writing week that I had there. And I was just sitting down, and I was so tired because I never sleep well when I'm in LA. I'm always just running off of like 2 hours of sleep a night. And I decided I don't have a guitar on me, and I'm flying home by myself. I'm going to just write a song in my phone. And I just went through that list of voice memos. This one came up, and I went, oh. And then I don't know what was the feeling, but this is what felt right. And it's kind of an accurate representation of just like those lows. So this one's called Dirt Below My Feet. Is there somewhere that I should be? Or someone who's proud of me?
'cause I'm giving up on myself and all that I've done. Is there nowhere left to go? It's too cliche to lose our hope. All my friends tell me I'll be just fine, but really nobody knows. I'll say that I'm a mess up, caught in the middle of the same drugs, looking down the barrel at some tough luck, trying to keep the dirt below my feet. I misplace in every word. I'm biting my tongue and thinking the worst. I can't even force myself to speak, but I just wanna be heard. I'll say that I'm a mess up, caught in the middle of the same drugs, looking down the barrel at some tough luck, trying to keep the dirt below my feet. Oh, but I'm so low, slowly sinking deeper in a black hole, crying out for help but nobody knows, rotting as my own mind swallows me, the dirt below my feet. Oh no, no, my own world crumbling. I'll say that I'm a mess up, caught in the middle of the same drugs, looking down the barrel at some tough luck, rotting as my own mind swallows me. Oh, but I'm so low, slowly sinking deeper in a black hole, crying out for help but nobody knows, trying to keep the dirt below my feet.
Nice.
Heavy one, eh?
I like that.
Thanks, dude.
So let's. Nobody's gonna know why I just grunted as I said So I was adjusting my seating, and I'm getting older. So
It happens.
you groan when your bones creak.
You call dad noises.
Yeah.
And you've got them.
So let's take a second and humble brag
Yeah.
some of your finest accomplishments.
Oh, this is looking back at that wall of appreciation that I look past so often. Well, I'll say it like this. The last few years for me have been the most building that has ever happened. Long story short, like I went through a very tough few years taking care of some family members and some stuff when they fell ill. And I remember when one condition cleared up, I remember calling a producer who I work with and just saying to him, hey man, I want to make a go at this. I need to make sure that this is my full-time career. And since then, that's been happening, and it's been really wonderful. So since that phone call, which was probably at this point 2022, I've been a major label songwriter. I've released under Universal as well, like for separate artists, a few at this point, as well as Def Jam Records. And those accolades just really came in 2023, and I was ecstatic about it. I've been in the room with some insanely great artists and have worked on some stuff that I got to keep tight-lipped for now, but honestly, just that I'm extremely grateful for. That's the songwriting side, which honestly has been going really, really well, and I'm really excited to keep going on to that. It's not just major label ones, of course. I'm also working with a lot of great indie projects of people who I really love. I've written a lot specifically with an artist named Cami, who's doing extremely well in the folk music scene, and have been really excited to also land a few songs with another folk artist named Bryn, it's just been such a privilege to work with them as independent artists too, because I really think they have a really bright future. So though in the songwriting side, all the work that's been going on has been amazing. Live side, man, I've been playing with a lot of great artists, and it's only been this year that I've actually started to MD, like musical direct a few of these things as well. I've always been a session guitar player. It's how I've paid a lot of bills in the past. And it's been really fulfilling, and it's always been really great. I, of course, playing with major label sort of people like that as well. That's always been a lot of fun across the country spectrum, rock, pop, everything. But really MDing projects this year has been really nice to say, no, this is how the show is going to go, and getting into what goes into a show and why you should have these moments, and then, planning everything from this is how your tracks are going to look, man, if we're playing along with tracks or anything like that, but really organizing that. And dude, it's like some of the gigs that are coming, like I'm playing with one of the artists who I'm MDing. We're doing a ChevyCat's game coming up, and I'm just like, how is that happening? Which is wild. And I've only really stepped into this MD role in the last maybe 5-6 months, and it's going well. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I always thought I was just going to be the session guitar player, like coming in being a ringer, but it's been really good to actually have creative control and be able to kind of like, take another song's artist or another artist's song, even if I've written them or if I haven't, and say, this would go great here. This is this moment. Let's plan this out and let's get this. So I'm doing a few artists like that, and it's been so rewarding. And then from an artist standpoint, man, it's been really rewarding to just keep writing for myself. It's been weird because similar to the health issues with family members, we dealt with another one while all this stuff was still happening, and that's going great and looking much better these days. And so it was weird because the universe knew that I had to put something on pause, and I couldn't put my songwriting for artists on pause. I couldn't put my session playing on pause. So the thing that had to kind of go to the back burner was my own artist project. And then it was just like, just as we got great news and things are looking good, I get phone calls being like, hey, do you want to play the Nashville Songwriters Association International event? Hey, do you want to play at the Moonshine for a second? Like, come out. Hey, do you want this show? Do you want that show? And I go, it's like the world knew. Like, and I was very private about it, but it's like, dude, like, if I didn't know that, like, the universe isn't kind of taking care and sort of guiding and knows what's going on and releasing things just at the right time, I went, how did everybody know I was kind of ready to kind of come back as J.K. Matthews, the artist, for as long as I have? Like, it's wild. So that's where I'm at, man. It's been really awesome. Great. Yeah, man.
Well, and I was going to say about the music director stuff. It's like that says a lot about your intuition with music and to be able to know it.
Yeah.
And put it together. And because I know for me, it's not so hard anymore, but one of the hardest things that I used to struggle with was just putting a set list together.
It's tough, right?
And now it's like I'm putting together like 3-hour set lists, and like I feel good about it. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's one of the things that people mean. It's inaccurate, I think, but it's like if you're having fun, they're having fun. Mm-hmm. But I like to repackage it a little bit too. It's like, if I feel confident about the set list, it's probably going to go over well.
Exactly.
Because you're really going to sell it.
Exactly.
And it's kind of hard to have that intuition sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you might second guess yourself or whatever. So it's like to actually have a job, to direct the music for other people and stuff. It's like, it says a lot about your intuition and like the faith that people have in you that you're proving them to be right with it.
I appreciate that, and yeah, it's, what I'll say is it's funny because you as like an MD, like the way I look at it is you read leadership books on like what great leaders do and in that sort of case, and you start to go, everybody else's accomplishment is also mine, and when somebody fails, it's also a failure on me, and it's a lot of pressure, dude. But it's something that it's like, it's been great to actually flex that a little bit, because I just go, oh my gosh, this is so awesome to be able to actually flex that intuition muscle a little bit. And not just that, I think I've already been wrong a few times. I've already made mistakes as an MD. I do not have a perfect record already, you know? But at the same time, it's like, just be able to learn about how to actually, you know, what a sound engineer wants, who's working front of house, what they want to hear, and how the audience is going to react to a certain song in certain key moments in the show. It's you think you know something and you go, oh, I know how to do this. I can do this, right? And then you just get really put right straight on your butt and you go, okay, I got a lot to learn. But then you start watching your peers and those other people who are MDing and you go, oh, they're doing, this is genius. You know what I mean? You start to kind of go back and think back into the old artists you played for and you're like, oh no, that MD made actually a really good decision. I used to not like that song, but I understand why they put it in the set at that moment, because it's perfect, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's working on it, right?
Yeah. So we're almost at an hour and a half.
we diarrhea, didn't we, Chris?
Oh yeah, it's been great though. I know when I was putting this together, I was like, let's do an hour per person. But then like the conversation with Chase, I think at one point he asked if we had time left, and I was like, yeah, I'm trying to keep it to an hour, but like if it goes over, it goes over. And then same with this, it's like trying to keep it to an hour. It's like we had lots to say. It's been a stimulating conversation, and it's like, also I kind of want, I think if we go over an hour, then that's totally fine, because I also would like, if people start listening to this podcast, they can get enlightened, encouraged, find new music from the songwriters that we're featuring and stuff like that. And so yeah, I've quickly realized in these 2 episodes that time isn't too much of a factor, but I do want to work towards wrapping it up.
We'll get there eventually, I think.
Yeah. So I guess one last topic. I'd like to talk about your future plans. Like, as far as you can see right now, do you have anything on the horizon, or are you just kind of like, staying the course with all these awesome things that you're doing?
Well, it's like the things on the horizon. I just think, I have a lot of songs. You may feel this way. You ever write a song and you go like, okay, I wrote this song. It's going to be great when it's out in 2 years. You know what I mean? I feel that way about so many songs that I've written for artists. So like on the horizon, I have so many tracks just ready to come out. Like the stuff that I'm posting about today, or that I'll throw out. It's hilarious because I wrote those songs like 1.5 years ago to 2 years ago, or sometimes even 3 years ago. And I just go, oh, it's nice that they're finally out. But I'm just looking forward to all of those come out, because there's so many that I'm just like, oh no, that's a good song, and I'm so excited about it now, but maybe in 2 years I'll forget about it and get re-surprised. So all those songs that are coming out from major label as well as independent, I'm so excited about. The MDing thing, I think it's just, we're looking really good. The projects that I'm working with, they're growing, and so I go, this is great. And to get some of the opportunities we already have with them, it's so beautiful, and it's just so nice to see these artist careers flourish and be a part of it, you know what I mean, and see that. I think J.K. Matthews is going to have to start coming back, and I noticed that my life and my career kind of work in seasons. When one element slows down, you know how it is, like obviously like spring and summer is great, especially in the country music scene, right? But it kind of slows down towards fall and winter a little bit, depending on who you are and where you're at. But, when that stuff slows down, those writing sessions pick right back up. And then, I usually go like, oh yeah, the artist thing will come out there. And I can tell you right now, as long as diagnoses go okay, which, hopefully they do, fingers crossed, all this stuff. I think I'd like to actually release. I've been sitting on so much J.K. Matthews music for a long time. So it'd be really nice to actually put it out there,
Awesome.
Do that.
All right. Yeah, it's I know what you mean with a bunch of that stuff. Like I've got a few songs that I'm excited to get recording with my producer and friend Ian McNally, who did my album The Moonshine. But who knows when my budget will allow that? Because I didn't do grants for The Moonshine, and I'm probably not going to try and do grants this time either, just because it seems overwhelming, that world of doing that. I'm hoping I can just fundraise through like merch or something like that, and then make it work with financial choices. But then what you were saying about spring and summer being great for country music, the festival stuff is the reason why I'm even more thankful to have my restaurant gigs, because I am the worst at applications. Every year I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm going to apply to some festivals. Maybe I'll play some festivals. And then I see the lineup come out and I'm like, maybe next year, because I forgot that there's a deadline.
They
and
book out so early.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I miss deadlines like that all the time. Like in Brantford, we have the trail mix from the tourism department. So we have the S.C. Johnson Trail along the river, and they set up a Bandcamp page. So you walk by, as you walk along the trail, you walk by these posts, these mile markers, and there's a QR code. You can go, you download a few songs, and they'll last until you get to the next QR code. And then you scan it, you download those songs, it lasts to the next code.
Oh, wow, and, that's smart.
I kept saying, I'm like, I gotta submit. And then the deadline, I think it was like March 16th came, and I was like, well.
Yeah. I always say that, like, I go, with the amount of stuff that is going on in life, just day to day, I was like, I just need an assistant, I swear, because I'm the same way with that, dude. These artists, I'm glad that them or their managers, depending on which artist it is, they're so on top of it. And I go, thank you for being on top of it, because I would have definitely not. But it's like, because I already saw the lineups get announced for North by Northeast and, like, Canadian Music Week, and I'm just like, oh, I maybe would have applied, maybe, but I guess not this year. It's so much to remember. And the thing is, man, it's like grants, festivals, all these things have separate deadlines, and they always change every year, and you got to like look at it and like watch and keep your finger on the pulse. And there's new festivals, but then there's old festivals that haven't been around for a couple of years, which are resurfacing, and you go, oh, there's too much to keep track of. It's so much, dude.
Yeah. Well, and I know, speaking for just myself, obviously, but it's like I'm happy with my humble restaurant gigs right now. So it's like I think festivals would be cool. Like every year, I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to play some festivals and stuff, and it would feel good. But then I miss it, and I'm like, oh well, I got my thing going on. This is the path that I'm on. Romans 12, right? This is the path that I'm on. So I don't get too bent. Plus, there are other people who are actively pursuing their songwriting career. Yeah. Whereas I'm actively pursuing my restaurant covers career. And I'm going to do some things this year myself with my original stuff. But it's like, it's a world I'm not... Aside from doing this podcast, I'm not exactly part of that world right now. Yeah. So it's like just a fun topic to talk about.
It is. It's interesting, but the thing is it's like everybody's fulfillment in music looks different, right? And that's the whole thing. Is it's just like, I'll tell you right now, some of my favorite gigs I've ever played have been like those bar gigs, because they're sometimes so off the chain, dude. They go like, and some of my most miserable gigs have been the club dates or theater things. You just never know. But like, it's like, I always remind myself, it's just nice to be playing. Yeah, it's so nice to be playing right now. You know what I mean? Whatever it looks like for you, it's like, I have artists who will play one gig a year, and that's it, and they're so happy about it. And I have artists who are gigging every weekend, who gig, multiple times a week. And it's all about what it looks like for you, Yeah. There's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Those festival bands, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, my country cover band, we have a gig it looks like it's become a more regular gig for the rest of the year in Georgetown.
Oh, nice.
And it's a band gig, and anytime a gig starts at 9:00, I'm a little bit like, okay, so I need the morning off tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like even if it plays like I'll play like 10 minutes from my house at 9 till 12 every once in a while, and I'm like, I'm gonna need help in the morning because I've become like an 8 to 11 musician. And but this 9 to 1 gig, which is like 2 hours away from my front door, ended up being one of the most fun gigs that we've actually. I think I asked you to play bass with us.
Oh, that's right.
For that one, and it was so much fun, and the audience was amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, when they get drunk and start shouting out requests and stuff, and that's probably the hardest part, because I'm an audience pleaser, the best I can anyway. Where it's like, if you ask for an encore, I'm gonna have a hard time saying no.
Yeah.
So you'll get at least like maybe 3 more songs.
Yeah, exactly.
At minimum.
Yeah.
But then if you ask for a second one, I'm gonna be like, I really gotta go.
I gotta go home.
And it hurts me to say that. So then when they're asking for requests and stuff, I'm just like, we don't have it prepared. I'm so sorry. Like, we just don't have it in the list. And we can't pull it out of our butts because we might butcher it. We just rather not take the risk. And like, that's one of the hardest things. But that was the hardest part of that gig.
I'll tell you what, you're a good guy for knowing that, though, like what the set limit is, right? Because I've play and have played those gigs a lot too. And what's interesting, man, is like I always get nervous as a session guy for those ones, because I go like, you get the request, and then you see the glimmer in the singer's eye, and they go, oh, I really want to do this, and there could be some tip money in this, or there could be like, you want to make the people happy most of all, and you just go, oh, well, hang on, do we know how to play Friends in Low Places? And like they look at me, or they'll, it's not Friends in Low Places, but it's always just like, oh, hey, do you know like this one tune off of this obscure country record that you haven't heard before? And then like the guy will look over at me, do you know it? And I'm just like, but it's good that you know that. But I hear what you mean. You never want to disappoint those things, because it's just, you always want to go like, well, we're playing it. Even if I don't know it, we're going to figure our way through it.
Well, it's like sometimes I'll get a request for Wagon Wheel, and I've seen and heard the jokes about it. It's like a Wagon Wheel comes with $100. It costs $100 every time I play it.
Yeah.
And so I make that joke. It's like, you know what? I do like that song, so I'm gonna waive the $100 fee to play it, and I'm gonna play it for you guys.
Funny enough, there's one last summer. I had one funny thing with that tune. I had a singer, and I had like a hard rule with this singer, and it was basically just like, you can have Country Roads or Wagon Wheel, pick one. You know what I mean? And we already played Country Roads, and we were playing, I think, Stevensville. And we played Country Roads, got the big old sing-along at this gig. And then, sure enough, he looks at me and he goes, we got to play Wagon Wheel. And I just remember looking at the singer, and it was a low-pressure gig. Like, it was chill. Everybody was just having a good time. And I just went, I'm not playing Wagon Wheel. I told you, you get one of two. He's like, we got to play Wagon Wheel. I handed him my guitar. I said, have fun. And I walked off stage. He did a great job. He did a good job. And he took it well, and it went really, really well. But, it was a fun moment to get one.
I think that's the only time I straight up pander for tips. Well, actually, no, that isn't. But it's the one time that I will is like when I've already played because I'm happy to go over.
Yeah, of course.
What I am. But after a while, it's like within a limit, because it's like I don't want to be like, okay, well, I'm going to play this 3 hours for this price, and then it turns into 4 hours, and now I just played an extra hour while everybody else is playing, like on the business ethics side. It's like they're playing for 3 hours for like, I don't know, maybe I don't know what everybody gets paid, but maybe the same price as me. Oh, but I'm going to give an extra hour for free kind of thing. And it's like, I think that's like really my only worry, is because, I mean, trying to not be that guy where it's like, well, Chris did it last week. And
it's
and
tough,
stuff.
isn't it?
Yeah, but at the same time, I want to please my audience. So I think that's the only, because, I mean, I will play if I physically can. I would play for like 6 hours if they kept asking me to play.
Yeah.
But after 3 hours, I'm tired enough.
You're
so like the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, it's tough.
So after about like, I don't know, I'll play like 3 to 5 songs extra when people are like, one more song or something. And then we joke. And then I'm like, all right, so that's your 5th song of the 5 more songs.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, 5 more songs. I was like, all right, well, we're going to have to fill my tip jar at that point. And like, it's kind of like just like a cheeky comment, but it's like, I'll do it if you pay me kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like, you know, I feel a little shady for doing it, but at the same time, it's like, you know,
you're towing the line though, and that's so it's tricky because
you're
it's
making
like
business deals over a microphone.
Well, that's you know what's really tough though is it's like you're totally correct, because what about the guy who's coming in tomorrow, and is this bar going to expect them to pay to play the same amount, right? And this is I actually talk to the artists about this often, where I go, okay, listen, there's 2 things that are going to happen in these bar gigs. You're either going to have to play over, or you're going to have to like stop, right? But if you're going to play over, which everybody ends up playing over, maybe start to factor that into your price. I've said that to people. I'm just like, you know, if they say 3 45-minute sets or whatever it might be, just say, okay, start thinking and start budgeting towards what it would take you to play 4 45-minute sets. Or just, you know, not 3 45-minute sets, but, you know, 1 completely 3-hour set. You know what I mean? Like, what does that look like in your mind? But I like how it's the trickiest thing, because it's a humble musician thing to do, but it's also a professional thing, because you're thinking of your peers to say like, what about the next guy's got to come in and do this? Like, that's like, you know, you want to be careful.
It's like, it's not a competition, but you also want to be like at the top of the game without like seeking glory and stuff. And it's like, it's like we're all peers, but it's like I also want to, as humbly as I can, I also want to make it, it's like you can book anybody.
Yeah.
I want you to want to book me.
Yeah.
So it's like finding that balance and walking that fine line where you're not giving a middle finger to all your peers and colleagues, but you're also like providing the best service that you can, if you can. And it's like,
I'll tell you this, even as a session guy, that's hard. Because, you know, I'll get this comment from time to time, and I'm sure the same comment has been made against me. I played with somebody recently, and it was my first time playing with them, and they looked over at me and they said, it's never been so comfortable. I've never had a more comfortable experience on stage. I've never felt more like somebody catching me as a musician than I have with you. I want to play with you all the time. And I said, I'm glad. And they said, no, but with every other guitarist I've played with, I've never had this. You have literally just like, and I've known this person's other guitar players like very well too. And I said to them, I was like, stop right there. I appreciate it, and it's very sweet, but your guitar players, your usual ones, are friends of mine. And the thing is they're tremendous guitar players. Maybe you and I get along in a different way, and maybe you like how many jokes I crack or something like that. But these are great guitar players too. And it's like so tough, because it's like, you know, they're your friends, they're your peers. You want them to do well, you want them to get hired, but you also know that it's like we're all trying to eat out here, you know? And the thing that I always say about when another guitar player gets brought up, or another singer-songwriter gets brought up or anything, all the time, I just go, they're terrific at what they do. I always really believe it, because we're surrounded by so many talented people.
Yeah.
But it's like, I say, it's not a competition. You might just like something I do more than what they do. And that's okay, because we're all different styles of players and all that thing. And I can guarantee you there's been a session musician who's gone in to fill in for me and has gotten the same sort of comment thrown at them, and then said, yeah, but you know what, Jake's a good guy. He's a great guy and he's a great player. And I think as session players, we all just give each other that nod of just like, we're all great. We all do what we do. We're not trying to poach jobs from each other, because I want to be able to trust my subs, and my subs, I'm sure, want to be able to trust me. You know what I mean? So on and so forth. But it's tricky, right?
Well, and I think we touched on it a little earlier about how it's like giving, and then it's like maybe we don't see enough back. And that was something that I struggled with a lot, like specifically in my 20s, I remember. because it's like I'd go out and see friends' gigs, but then I'd start getting all upset because I'm like, well, I don't see them coming out to my gigs very much and stuff. And it's like, it's one of the hardest things, I think, to start practice, to keep in practice and just think naturally. Because now I'll go out to a gig and I'll go out to support a friend because I want to support that friend.
Yeah.
And it's more important to me that I go out and see them play than to have them come out to my show. Yeah. Because I know I have their support. It's like the Facebook posts where it's like there's so many ways to support your musician in your life and stuff like that. And it's like, you might not come out to my show, you might not post and share all the time, but in some way I know that you have supported me. Yeah. So I know that's not just like that day. You're probably supporting me today too. Yeah. And it's like, it's like the camaraderie. It's like it's kind of like an ecosystem. Like everything's an ecosystem, right? It
is. Do you ever feel, and you ever get this, like I remember doing something very similar where it's like, sometimes you want people to return the favor. You're just like, return the favor. I've done something for you. Give me a hand here, right? Do you ever kind of notice that it gets done to you and you just go, ooh, this stinks a little bit? You can almost see right through it. I've had that happen before where like I can tell that somebody showed up just because they got to sell a few more tickets to their show on Thursday and I'm playing on Tuesday, and I've been like, all right, you know what I mean? I know why you're here. Not necessarily, maybe that's not the only reason, but sometimes you can tell when somebody's genuinely there to support. Mm-hmm. And it's good for their soul and good for you and all the things, but then you can also tell when somebody's who's not there to do that, right? And who's just kind of there for some sort of ulterior motives, right? Sometimes I notice it where somebody will be there and be like, oh, they're trying to get close to the artist who, we're working with, or they're trying to get the label mates going or something, things like that. Yeah,
because I've been on the. I think I've been on both sides of that. Showing up at a friend's show to sell tickets and then also having people come out to my show, and then I slowly start seeing people not come out to my show anymore, but they're gravitating around that other person, and it's like back then it really sucked, and now it's kind of like it's thinking about this conversation and like my experience. It's like all of the contrasts, and it's like all of the lessons that have been learned is like in an hour and a half conversation, because it's like I've been there, I've been butthurt about this and that, and now it's like things like a lot of that stuff doesn't matter so much. And it's like it's just etiquette. It's just etiquette. That's really the only thing that I really focus on. Like, I mean, you could come out to one of my gigs and start asking the manager for a booking or whatever, and I'd be like, yeah, book them. Like, that'd be great. Incredible, yeah. And then I'm trying to figure out where the line would be for me to be like, yeah, dude, no. It's like, do that.
It's hard because the thing is you just hope that like they would have enough respect for you to kind of know where they're at. It's such a you said it perfectly before. It's a fine line, right? Yeah. It's a fine line between kind of just making sure that you're all right and that you've got your I's dotted and your T's crossed, and you can continue to do what you do, and then just respecting somebody else at the same time. Like, and it just comes down to the way I look at it now is it's just, I'm just going to support my friends and the musicians who I really think are great, like support them as much as I can. And like, I can't be at every show, unfortunately, for everybody. But I want to, like, I'll stream your songs and I'll do the thing, and I'll support you which way that feels natural to me and what I can. And then,
well, I make the joke on a regular basis about how musician friends suck because they'll never support your gig.
Yeah, I know, because they're always playing their gigs.
Yeah, because we all work at the same time.
We're all working at the same time, man. And it's like, it sucks that like being so involved in the music community. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, it's the best still. But it's like, because you have the best conversations and you hang out with some great people who have amazing souls and great hearts and all this stuff. But you just know that sometimes it's hard not to take some things as a slight towards you, because you're just like, oh man, like, this person was busy that day, you know, like that's okay. They're allowed to be busy that day, you know? Like,
well, it's like what I said earlier when it's like, oh man, they didn't ask me to play that gig with everybody.
Yeah.
And then I look at my calendar, I'm like, I can't play it anyway. Why are you upset?
Yeah, exactly. That just happened to me with a writing camp, like literally a week ago, where I went, why wasn't I at that writing camp? And I went, oh, I was touring.
Yeah.
That's why, and they knew that. Well, okay, I'm doing all right.
Yeah. Well, I think we've danced around the every single side of this fine line of it's like it's not a competition, but I also want you to book me rather than everybody else.
I know.
But then also being gracious and humble while also being on the short end of the stick. And I think in the last maybe like 10 minutes we've thoroughly danced around all of those lines.
It's a hard line, man, and it's like you want to sound nice, but you got to call it the way it is. It's tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've done it.
Yeah. So let's play one more song, and then I'll finish this episode off as well with the decay of your guitar strum, and then we'll all go home to bed.
Let's go home to bed.
Or at least to our Nintendo Switches.
That's a good home too. It's kind of funny. It's like I've been sitting here. I'm going, what song am I gonna play? I think okay. I'm gonna try this one. So I'm out of practice with a couple of my tunes, but that's okay because I think I remember them anyways. But this is a song called "Lover, Won't You Leave," and it came from I think it might probably be the next song I end up putting out because it's already recorded and ready to go. So we'll see how that sort of ends up going. It's about a buddy's relationship when the conversation literally went like this. We're sitting in his car, we're talking about it, and we're talking about his partner. And he goes, man, she's so great, but I don't know if she's completely right for me, but she hasn't done anything wrong. Why can't she just do something wrong so I can break up with her? Why does she have to be so perfect, but maybe not perfect for me? And he was struggling with the fact that he couldn't break up with somebody if they haven't wronged him. And I was like, hey, listen, the wrong person can just be the wrong person for you, buddy. So this one's called Lover, Won't You Leave? Thanks for having me, by the way. I appreciate
thanks for being here. I forgot to do the conclusion on this episode.
Oh, I appreciate you very much. It's been awesome, man.
It's been a really great conversation, just like I knew it would be.
It was a really good one, so I really appreciate
these first 2 episodes have been fantastic.
They really are, dude. You get a little bit nice outro music. I love it. Thanks again, dude. Really. All right. It goes like this. Lover, won't you leave? Come on, let my heart go. Let me breathe. Lover, why do you stay? How can you keep the ring on? And I won't do the same. Oh baby, even though it breaks me, lover, won't you leave? Lover, I know it's me. You're not easy to lie to, but I can't come clean. Lover, I don't know what's worse, to keep saying I love you or ending it first. Oh baby, even though it breaks me, lover, won't you leave? Well, darling, I need more than time. When one like you's so hard to find, a girl like you's so hard to find.
Really, I don't mean to run, but with or without you, I can't bring my heart to be with or without you. Lover, just let it die. You can keep the ring on, but I'm done trying. Lover, just let me go. You still say our flame burns, but come on, you have to know. Oh baby, my sweet baby, come on baby, even though it breaks me, lover, won't you leave?